Hey everybody. So when I first made this channel, I made like a point to myself, and I mentioned this in like an early review, that man, it's fucking hot in this room. It's fucking hot here in New York, man. It's been like 90 the past 2 days, and I'm in on air conditioned room. It's fucking hot in here, man. But I said at the beginning of the channel in one of the reviews that starting off a horror review channel, it's hard, especially with how many are out there, and great ones that are out there, like ones that I've been following for years. That I've even a few that I'm friendly with the channel runners and stuff, and I'll talk to them every now and then. But I made like a vow to myself that I wouldn't dive into a review any like of the huge classics of horror, like the Leviathan films in horror history, like The Exorcist or Psycho or Halloween or The Thing, which is killing me every day not to do because it is my favorite horror film of all time. Like in my top 3 films in general of all time. And just for the reason of that, what else can be said about these movies? Like, and the list goes on, you know, the Omen, and so many classic movies that have been talked about for decades and decades, up to 50, 60 years now. What more could be said about them? But then, of course, this is my channel, and I can say my own personal thoughts and everything, and that's why people have review channels and stuff. So finally, I just said to myself after I was watching last night just randomly, you know, Tubi like auto plays like another movie after a movie's done, and Evil Dead 2013 remake came on, and I haven't seen that movie probably since it came out in theaters. I saw it in theaters, and forgot just how great that remake is. Like remakes for me, especially like from the 2000s forward, just suck. Like most of them are terrible. The Friday the 13th remake, I did not like at all. Nightmare on Elm Street remake was terrible. The only 2 remakes that I can think of, the Child's Play was terrible, and that's one of my favorite franchises in horror. In horror is the Child's Play franchise. There is nothing that Don Mancini can't do right. Like, not everything he touches is fucking gold, in my opinion. I love every single one of the films in the Child's Play franchise, except for the reboot, the remake, which was terrible. Even the TV series was phenomenal. I love Chucky. I love that me and my family used to chase my younger sister around Blockbuster with the fucking VHS covers with Chucky's face on it. She was horrified of him. We used to torture her, man. He was fucking following her around and stuff, chasing her around Blockbuster. And this is like, she was like 4 or 5 years old. She's 3 years younger than me, so like, and we would do, and my parents too, like, you know, like the guy that would, like, one of us would have, like, Child's Play 1, other Child's Play 2, Child's Play 3, and we'd be chasing her around Blockbuster and just scaring the shit out of her, man. I'm sure she's traumatized to this day about that. But it's just funny memories with that. But one of my favorite franchises. But the only 2 remakes I can really say that are great remakes is Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 2003 and the Evil Dead remake. Excellent remakes. Like, really, really good. Those are the only ones that come to mind. I'm sure there's a few others, but that's basically the only ones that come to my mind at the moment and when I was thinking about this earlier. But let's talk about The Evil Dead, directed by, it just doesn't even need to be said. I mean, it's Sam Raimi, man. I mean, in my opinion, Raimi is an absolute genius. He is one of my favorite directors of all time. Like, right up there with Carpenter and fucking, you know, Craven and in the horror community and stuff, like in the horror genre. But Stanley Kubrick and everything. But in general, I think he's just a fucking mastermind. He's an absolute genius. Like, everything Raimi has done is brilliant. And that's why I said I've been putting off doing these major classic films. Because what can you say? Like, what can you say about The Evil Dead at this point in 2022? Like, it's the fucking Evil Dead, dude. Like, it's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Like I said, The Thing is my favorite horror movie of all time. This is probably, it's absolutely in my top 5. Probably in my top 3. And I love the whole franchise. And there are very few franchises that I love, from the very first installment to the very last installment, which I said Child's Play is one of them. It has the remake. I just pretend it doesn't exist, but it does exist. So that takes it down a tiny little notch. But this, the Evil Dead franchise, I mean, the first one, like I said, is my top 3 or 5 horror movies of all time. Evil Dead 2 is right up there. Like, it goes back and forth. Like, it's unbelievable, that movie. Army of Darkness, same thing. And then the remake, excellent remake. Then Ash vs. Evil Dead, the TV series, amazing. Like, everything that Raimi had done, Drag Me to Hell. Fucking, I'm not even big, I've never been big into superhero movies or Spider-Man, Batman, anything like that. Like, I grew up watching some of the older Batmans and stuff like that, like with Val Kilmer and Nicholson as the Joker and everything. Yeah, great, but it just doesn't do much for me, which is, I see there's so many Marvel movies nowadays and stuff, and it's just absolutely does nothing for me. I don't think I've seen a Marvel movie or a superhero movie in like at least a decade. It's just not for me. Like, I'm just not into that. People who love it and stuff are great, man. I'm so happy people enjoy that stuff. Just not an interest of mine. But even his Spider-Man movies and stuff, I mean, he went from doing this small independent movie with The Evil Dead and went on to direct fucking Spider-Man, fucking trilogy, that are still regarded as like some of the greatest movies ever made. Like, profit-wise, everything. Like, unbelievable, like, with Raimi and stuff. And I don't want to dive too much into like his career and stuff like that, but just, he's an absolute mastermind, in my opinion. Every single just thought that comes into this man's mind is genius. Like, just, I'll talk about more as I get on. So, obviously, starring the amazing, just as much genius Bruce Campbell, who they were best friends, you know, since I think it was middle school or something, or even younger than that, Raimi and Campbell. But let's get into the movie. It's been already 8 minutes. But, so just the opening shots of this movie with like the POV shots and stuff, going through the woods and just like going around the trees and everything like that. That's just genius, dude. Absolute genius. Like, we've seen POVs done so many times before that, but the way Raimi like handled the POV of like the demon or entity or whatever you want to fucking call it in these films was just so inventive and so just like ahead of its time, man. I mean, all the camera work in this movie is amazing. It blows my mind. And like I said in other reviews, I don't watch too much behind the scenes stuff on films and horror movies, especially, unless it's like a real favorite of mine and stuff. And after Evil Dead remake came on last night on Tubi, on autoplay, I spent like from 2 in the morning until like 5 in the morning watching behind the scenes, you know, the making of like the first 3 Evil Dead movies. Which I think I've seen like the making of the first one and stuff years and years ago, but like just seeing the behind the scenes and the making of this movie and stuff just made me I have to watch and do these movies like today, like now, like it has to happen. Absolutely. He is just a absolute virtuoso when it comes to directing and just having just every shot in his head before he even touches or goes near a set or a camera or anything like that. And it just blows my mind away. Like, I'm a musician, like I say. I write and record my own stuff. I play all the instruments basically on my own stuff. And I mean, it's hard to look at it from your own point of view. But like, I guess other people can look at musicians and say like, it's a similar thing and stuff. Like, but like for me, like when I think about it, it's like, yeah, it's like you know, you have these ideas in your head and stuff for, you know, melodies and chord progressions and stuff like that, that you know ahead of time what it's going to sound like and what you want it to, like every aspect of it and stuff. Yeah, it does work that way. But I don't know, just maybe it's just because I'm not in that medium of filmmaking that I just can't relate to it what I can with music. But just the way that this man has every shot down in his head prior to even coming near a film is absolutely incredible. All right, I gotta move on with this, but absolutely unreal. One of my favorite directors of all time. And he deserves every bit of recognition he's gotten throughout his career and just the major blow up and success of his career as the years went on after this movie. But yeah, the POV shots throughout this whole movie, amazing. And then we have them going over that bridge, man. Fuck that bridge. Dude, it's not even like a fear, but like, even like going like to the beach in the summer or like going over like small bridges and stuff like that, always like kind of like, all right, I hope we don't fucking like something happens, we don't crash off this bridge. But like seeing that bridge, there's no fucking way I would drive over that bridge. There's no fucking chance ever. Like, you see that bridge, and as soon as they go over it, fucking it starts falling apart and fucking wood's coming out of the bottom of it and falling into the water. Dude, get out of here. I would park the car before the bridge and walk to the cabin. Like, that's what I would do. Fuck that. I would never go over that bridge. And we have the shot of the chair swing and stuff, the swaying back and forth, and you know, thudding and stuff as it hits the cabin, and as they walk up to it, and then Scotty grabs the keys on top, and then it just stops. It's such a great shot, man. Every shot in this film and the sequels and stuff, like especially Evil Dead 2, like, and this one, but Army of Darkness also, even though it's a lot more playful and ridiculous and stuff like that. But Raimi has always had just a zaniness to his style. Like, he's just in a league of his own. He has just a complete, over-the-top, I think zany is just the best word to describe him. It's just like a zaniness to his movies that instantly just look right at that. That's fucking Raimi. Or that's someone trying to emulate Raimi. Like, without a doubt. I cannot watch film. Well, I've seen every movie that Raimi's made pretty much, but if I saw a movie that I thought was Raimi, immediately I'd be like, yeah, this director is absolutely trying to emulate Raimi. Like, every shot in this movie, every frame in this movie is brilliant. Is absolutely brilliant. And like I said, just the fact of him having all this in his head is unbelievable to me. It's like unfathomable how this man just, it's just fucking unreal, man. Every single shot in this film, every shot, the way the camera's positioned, or the way that the camera tricks he uses, and just everything is unbelievable. And that's one of the main reasons that this movie is the classic that it is, and had such a huge cult following, and nowadays is just considered one of the greatest horror movies of all time, and for damn good fucking reason. And let's see, and we have Cheryl drawing the Necronomicon and stuff, and like her hand gets possessed and stuff, and she doesn't freak out that her hand like turns gray and shit. Like, come on, that's a little stupid. But like, you know, I always nitpick and little things in all my reviews and stuff like that about movies. There's really nothing that I can nitpick or make funny observations or anything about in the Evil Dead movies. Even just like, if there are, just like, I can't, just out of respect for the movie. Like, out of respect for Raimi. Like, I can't. Like, it's just, oh, it's such an amazing fucking movie. Such an amazing franchise. Such an amazing director. Such an amazing actor with Bruce Campbell. And he was just an icon at this point. Unreal. And for such an independent, low-budget movie that this started as, and I'll get into that a little later. But, yeah, she draws the Necronomicon, and then I love Scotty's little animal line and stuff when they hear the bumping in the cellar and the noises in the cellar, where someone says maybe it's an animal, and Scotty's like, he's like completely like it's the most outlandish thing he's ever heard in his life. He's like, an animal? Yeah, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. And then one of the other girls says like, maybe it is an animal, and then he just immediately is just like, yeah, I guess maybe it's an animal. Even though he's being like sarcastic a bit, because then he hands the flashlight and says like, you go check it out just in case and stuff. But I love that line. That's so funny. And then they go down to investigate the cellar and stuff, which, iconic. The cellar, the entire cabin is just absolutely iconic. Like, there's no other way to describe it. Like, every time I see in any other movie, Cabin in the Woods comes to mind, which is an excellent movie. I love that movie so much, and I'll be reviewing that soon, because I need to rewatch that movie. It's been a while. But even in that, with the cabin, and then they go down to the basement and stuff like that, you know, immediately Evil Dead. Cabin Fever, which we know Eli Roth is a huge fan of Evil Dead. He was even in one of the making of things that I was watching like early this morning or late last night, whatever you want to call it. But any of those movies, Cabins in the Woods and stuff, anything that has a cabin in the woods and stuff, not like it's ever not been done before this movie, but immediately Evil Dead comes to mind. Like, there's nothing else. Like, it's fucking so iconic. The whole cabin, that cellar with the chains around it, it's unreal. Love the Hills Have Eyes poster. Like, it's like a ripped up poster in the cellar when they're looking around at all the stuff, and they find the Necronomicon and the Kandarian dagger and everything. I think I remember reading somewhere that like after that, like Craven and Raimi like had this little like in joke that like in Craven's one of his next movies, he put an Evil Dead poster in it, and then like Raimi put a poster of one of his movies in another movie or something like that. It's been a long time since I read that, but they had like this little joke back and forth with each other, which I think is hilarious. And then again with the Necronomicon and the Kandarian dagger, like iconic. No other word to describe it or them. And like as a prop, and I've said this on the channel before, of I think with Devil's Rejects, not Devil, House of a Thousand Corpses, which I adored that movie. That excuse me, I don't know, my throat has been like sore today. I don't know what it is. Maybe it was just from that party yesterday and stuff with my family. But yeah, it's fucking like scratchy. It could be the heat too in this room. It's so fucking hot today. And I mentioned in House of a Thousand Corpses, I said that sign that says Captain Spaulding's Museum of Monsters and Madmen would be like in my top 3 or so props from a movie, that if I can have a movie prop, that would be one of them. Necronomicon, absolutely, is another one. Like, I would kill to have that first original prop of the Necronomicon, if it even exists still, because I know in Army of Darkness, one of them, like one of the few books that they made was like stolen like at the beginning of like filming and shit like that, because even then people knew like, this shit's iconic, I'm taking this shit, which is fucked up. I mean, I can see where they're coming from in a way, even though it is fucked up. But absolutely in the top like 3 props that I would want from a horror movie, or top 5, something like that, because the spider head cast from The Thing is absolutely one of them. And Jason, if you ever watch this, the guitar drill from Slumber Party Massacre 2, I will get it before you. Absolutely. Fucking if I hit the lottery and stuff, or you plan to hit it, like you said, I will get that fucking prop before you get it. If you ever even see this, but absolutely, I will get that guitar drill. That is such an amazing prop as a musician and just as a horror fan. Awesome. Then we have the tree rape scene, which is just so crazy, man. When I first saw this movie, when I first saw Evil Dead, how old was I? Like 10, 11, like something like that. I was young, man. It was like before I even knew like what like rape was or like sex or anything like that. Like, you know, like in detail of like, you know, fully grasping the concept. And seeing that scene was just like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah, it was fucking disturbing, man, and it still is and stuff. Just the way it's done, and just the fog and everything in the woods, and just like the tension that builds in that scene of just, you know, it's coming, like, you know, like before even her legs are spread open and stuff, as like the vine's coming close to her and starts wrapping around her arms and everything, and then like the vine slowly like comes like it's about to go between her legs, but it wraps around her leg instead, and then like another one comes and you think it's going there but it doesn't and stuff. Like, what a fucking great way of building tension, man. Like, you're just waiting there just saying, come on, like I know this sick shit's about to happen. Like, and then you just get that big branch that after her legs are spread open by the vines that just comes in and just fucking rapes her, man. Like, fucking like, it's such an insane scene, dude. It's so ridiculous, but it's another infamous scene. Like, everyone who's seen the Evil Dead and stuff, this is like one of, if not the scene that they remember, is the tree rape scene, which is just an insane concept, and as it is, just like being raped by Mother Nature, being raped by the fucking woods. Like, who the fuck comes up with this shit, man? Raimi he's just so insane and genius, man. He really is. The sound design in this movie is phenomenal. It's excellent. Like, it does everything. Just all the sounds in this movie, and just, if it's as simple as like when the chair swing fucking crashes through the window, or just the deadite voices and everything, or just creaking down the cellar stairs, just everything. All the sound design is amazing in this movie. Just unreal. Like, there's not going to be anything negative I'm saying about this movie in this review. Like, nothing. Like, basically nothing. And then the shot of Cheryl being chased back out of the woods, back to the cabin with the POV and stuff, like chasing after her and stuff, the entity, or whatever you want to call it. And then she's like she's at the door and she can't open, she's trying to open it with the keys, and then Ash opens the door and lets her in. Then how the POV just pans back and you hear like the like sound, it's almost like the demons are just like, oh, like I almost got her. Like, brilliant, like amazingly shot, like so well done. And then the whole card reading scene and stuff, when Linda and Shelly are doing the card things and she's fucking with her and saying like, oh, you got it, and she completely gets it wrong and stuff. Then you just hear fucking Cheryl just reading off each card, and it's getting it right every time, and then she just turns around and we get the first look of a deadite and hearing that voice and everything. You've awakened us from our slumber and stuff. Like, dude, like, so fucking good. It's just another like infamous scene from this movie. It's our first look at a deadite in the Evil Dead franchise. Just unbelievable. And then we have, right after, we have the pencil stab scene, which, man, this is not like I'm a gorehound and stuff, but when I first saw that scene when I was like 10, 11 years old, and still to this day, like even just on this rewatch, it's just something about that scene, man, and that pencil stab in the ankle. You can feel that shit. You can feel it through the screen. And it makes me just, oh God, like every time, every single time. And just the way that Cheryl sits up, like when she's on the ground, and then she just like sits up with the fucking pencil in her hand, but she sits up like so weird and like awkward, and like bravo, man, to the actress, I forget her name, but the way she just sits up like that is so creepy. It's like so otherworldly. It's like demonic, like it should be. And it's such an amazing scene. And then just the pencil stabbing and twisting and the blood coming out and stuff. And again, this is on such a low budget movie where pretty much no one knew what they were doing. Like no one was on a film set before this, like except for like I think one or two people. And then Raimi had his experience like with, you know, like small like Super 8 films and stuff that he did like in high school and college and stuff like that with Bruce and stuff like that. But they didn't know what they were doing. And like it still just became one of the greatest horror movies of all time, which is unbelievable to me. And then we have another iconic line with what's her name? I always confuse Shelly and Cheryl for some reason, just because the names sound like start sounding so familiar. I think it's Shelly. It's Shelly who says it, right? And then she says when they lock Cheryl in the cellar, and she's like looking up and everything, and she's just like an iconic line from her, and she's like her eyes, like for God's sake, what happened to her eyes? Like that line, such a great line. The whole atmosphere of this movie is so well done. It's just, it looks so like raw and just like, I don't even know how to describe it. It just has such an amazing atmosphere from the very beginning. Like I said, with the opening shots with the POV going through the woods and everything like that. Just absolutely amazing atmosphere, amazing sound design, excellent camera work. Everything about this movie is phenomenal. Everything. Which is just unbelievable for a first major, like not even major, but a first film by a director, by Sam Raimi. Unreal, man. It's I can't say a bad thing about this film. And the scene with Shelly in the fire and Cheryl banging up and down on the cellar and stuff, and it keeps cutting between them, and that's such a sick scene, dude. That's such a great scene especially when it keeps cutting to Cheryl and she's banging up and like getting all excited and stuff, like and as a demon and shit, and just banging on the cellar door and everything. That's so awesome. That is such a great scene. And then the dagger when he stabs her and Shelly in the back with the dagger, and after like he cuts her arm off, and then she bites her hand off with the dagger in it and everything, and then he stabs her in the back, and the blood starts coming out, and the blood starts like leaking out of the skull design on the handle of the Kandarian dagger, and it's coming out the eyes and the mouth. That's so awesome. That is such a great fucking shot. So good. I didn't even take a lot of notes for this movie, which, you know, I take notes for all my reviews and stuff because it just keeps my mind and thoughts prepared and everything like that. I didn't really need to for this movie. I've seen this movie so many times. Like I said, it's one of my favorite horror films ever. Was not necessary, really. Then Scotty axing Shelly apart and stuff, and the blood coming down the camera lens and stuff. Like just, Raimi used every camera trick in the book in this movie. And it all just worked amazingly. Like, I can't think of many other first-time directors besides like Carpenter with Halloween, and man, like I really can't think of many others that just threw everything they could out, and it just all stuck, and it all worked. Like it's unbelievable to me. It really is. But just how the blood leaks down the camera lens and stuff. Awesome. Such a great shot. And then we see her dismembered body on the floor twitching and everything. And, and they went through hell making this movie, man. Like, and I know the actress who played Cheryl, like she was below the floor and had like her head sticking up through a hole. And then had her arm sticking up, so she's like twitching her head and then her arm. And then I think it was like Raimi and Campbell's legs, and they were also under the floor, and that's their legs and stuff twitching and stuff. How they pulled that effect off and stuff. Fucking brilliant, man. For people who like knew almost nothing about like effects work and practical effects and stuff like that, it looks amazing. It looks so good, and just the entire concept all right, this whole concept of being isolated with your friends, and in this case, your fucking sister and your girlfriend and stuff like. But even if it's just 5 friends, and the only way to protect yourself and to stop them from trying to kill you is by full body dismemberment. Like, not even just killing them like a zombie, like shooting them in the head and it's over. Like, no, like fully butchering their bodies apart. It's horrifying. That whole idea, that whole concept is absolutely horrifying. I can't imagine. Like, it's absolutely crazy. That just put yourself in those shoes. Like, that you're with all 4 of your friends, like best friends, or girlfriend even, or sister, whatever you want to call, whatever you want to put yourself in the shoes of. And this happens, and they're being possessed by demons, and, you know, putting in your own beliefs right now and stuff. Like, do demons exist? Like I've said on the channel, I'm skeptical to an extent and stuff, but if someone was to say, like, go into this fucking supposedly haunted mental asylum, like I said in Grave Encounters yesterday, or the other day, there's no fucking way I'm going in there, just in case is that small chance that this shit is real. But in that situation, in their shoes, like, you would never think that demons or anything like that is actually real. And then this happens, and your brain can't even comprehend what's going on, because you've never been confronted with anything like this. It's all been, like, you know, in films and TV shows and fantasy to you your whole life. And it contradicts everything that you know about life. And yet it's happening right in front of your eyes. And the only way to save yourself is to fucking dismember and butcher the bodies of your best friends, or girlfriend, or sister, or brother, whoever. What a fucking terrifying concept, man. That is so fucking scary. Like I said, I don't get scared by movies, man, but I try to put myself in their shoes and, like, think of what it would be like in these characters' positions and stuff, and what their thoughts would be, and how they'd handle it, and what they'd be feeling. And what a fucking... it's so horrifying, man. And the gore in this movie, yeah, it's not the best. You know, the makeup for the deadites and stuff, and like when they were making this movie and stuff, like the guy who was doing the effects and stuff, he was putting like plaster of Paris and but some other thing that even says, like he said on the can, says like do not apply to skin or anything like that, and he's putting it on all these actors and actresses' faces to fucking put prosthetics on and stuff. Like, these people went through hell filming this movie, man. They really did, and they all say it, like in the interviews and like making of and stuff. The absolute hellacious conditions and environment that they had to deal with while filming this movie. But like, even though the gore doesn't look amazing, it still just works, because like I can suspend disbelief when I watch this film every time I watch it, because I just say to myself, well, they're possessed by this demonic presence, these entities. We don't know what chopping up a fucking possessed person that's possessed by these deadites would have in them, like especially like all the deadite scenes, like when they're being chopped apart and stabbed and killed and stuff like that, like with Sherry, I think it was Sherry, right? And when the shit's squirting out of her hand, it looks like fucking mayonnaise and milk or something with the blood and stuff, like, still looks great to me, because I can say to myself, it's like, we don't know what the fuck will come out of these things, so it doesn't have to look like ultra realistic or anything. It works so well just the way it is. And then we have possessed Linda and her laugh, man. Like, when I first saw this at 10, 11 years old, that shit scared the hell out of me. It gave me nightmares. Like, just her look, like she looks like a clown almost. But like, and then with her cackle, laugh and everything. Dude, it was definitely one film growing up that gave me nightmares, like upon watching it for the first time. Like, Linda scared the shit out of me when she gets possessed in this movie, and just her laugh and everything, and the contacts that they wear in the eyes when they become possessed and stuff, like, they couldn't see. they were blind, like completely blind whenever they had those contacts in. And they weren't like contacts of today, like you just plop them in, they're soft contacts. You had to like apply them with like an applicator, like Greg Nicotero was saying in Making Up and stuff. Like you had to apply these hard contacts and like jam them into these actors' eyes. And you couldn't see a thing. They were fucking blind. And I think it just even added more to the performances and stuff. That it just, the way they walk and the way they move, the Deadites and everything, it's just so unsettling and so creepy. And just like some shit that people never saw before when this movie came out. Like, so many things in this movie was just so original and inventive that even Stephen King was like a big reason that this movie took off when it finally did. Because he fucking it was on the original cover and stuff, saying that the most ferociously original horror film of the year or something like that by Stephen King, author of Carrie and The Shining. So it was like early into his career, but he already had The Shining and Carrie under his belt, and people respected the hell out of him already. And that helped immensely get this movie propelled into an audience that would enjoy the hell out of it and make it become what it's become today. Like, so, I mean, I love Stephen King to death. He's my favorite horror author. I've read probably 75% of his books and everything, his short stories, everything. And God bless him, man, for just his work and for this movie and for other movies and stuff that he's raved on and stuff that helped get those movies recognized. Which, bravo, Stephen King. Let's see, the scene with like Ash beating Linda in the face repeatedly when she's just like sitting up and laughing, and he's just like beating and smacking her in the face like that. I don't know what it is about that scene, man, but I just feel like you would not see a scene like that today in a horror film or any film. And of course, I mean, there's still so many, every horror movie and stuff with women being brutally murdered and attacked and raped and fucking all that. But just something about that, the way that it's shot. And maybe it's the fact that, like I said, like the makeup doesn't look super realistic at all. That it just looks like light makeup on just a regular woman. And he's just beating her in the face. Like, it's fucked up. Like, it's disturbing a bit. And I just feel like a scene like that, like, just like that scene, like, if this movie came out today, they would have a field day with that scene. Like, the extreme feminists and, like, the politically correct people and that whole movement, which I just did a whole video about, all that shit, fucking would have a field day with just that scene alone, let alone everything else that happens in this movie, with the tree rape scene especially and everything. But something about that scene, like every time I see it, I'm like, damn, man, like I don't think that scene would last in this movie if it came out today. Like, it's just something just seems like too real about it. And like I said, it's probably because of the makeup and stuff, and she's not too distinct as a demon and not a woman. Like, she still just looks like a straight up woman, like with just makeup on her face. And I think that's what makes me think that. And so, I don't know, maybe it's just a me thing and it makes no fucking sense to any of you. So, but that's just how I feel. Every time I see this movie, I see that scene, I say, man. Like I've been saying, like the horror and conditions these people went through making this movie. Like, I think it had, what was it? I wrote it down. Like a $250,000 to $350,000 budget, and they were in this cabin in the middle of nowhere that had no electricity, no running water, nothing. There was no trailers for actors or anything like that. There was nothing. Right, and that just the conditions they had to deal with, and just like everyone in this movie, like not complain, but like reflects back and says like, it was fucking hell making this movie. Like, it really was. And they're all so fucking glad that they went through it. And then especially Campbell. And not so much in this, but in, Evil Dead 2 and in Army of Darkness. Dude, this guy should get an award for, like, the most painful performances in the horror genre, like ever. Like he's just, and Raimi just loves fucking with him, man. This is like his closest friend, and he just loves fucking with Campbell, man. Like he was saying, and fucking Campbell was saying in like interviews and stuff in the making of things, saying that he would that Raimi would just like have him do something like, all right, like take that plate and smash it against your face, but like do it like 5-6 times and stuff. And then like when they're editing the movie, he would just use like one plate, like or like not use the scene at all. Like he would just have Campbell like torturing himself just for his own amusement. Like that's fucking hysterical, man. Like what a great friendship to have, like to have that type of relationship with. That Campbell will do anything that Raimi says. Like but just him fucking with him and like just torturing his best friend, like in all of his movies, like it's hysterical to me. That's so funny. That's hilarious. And then with the whole "we're gonna get you" with Linda and shit, again, that shit gave me nightmares. Like with Linda's whole possessed character just creeped the shit out of me as a kid. It's just so, and that's another iconic line from this movie. The "we're gonna get you" thing, like amazing. Like and we have Ash beating Linda with the piece of wood in the outside the cabin and everything, where he has the whole dog and stuff. And the actress said too that Raimi came up to her, like he loved fucking with everybody, Raimi. He was a fucking sick man, fucking sick genius, man. And it takes being, a little sick to be a fucking genius like that. But she said that like Raimi came up to her and said like, all right, we're gonna go down to like the hardware store or something. We're gonna get like, you're gonna get beat by these like wooden beams and stuff like that by Campbell, and like it's not gonna hurt. Like we're gonna get like rubber foam like type beams, so it's not gonna hurt when you get hit and stuff like that. And they came back with like these like beams that like were like modeled that you can like put in your like house that are supposed to look like actual wood and stuff. And like she was getting hurt, man, when getting beaten with these things. And Raimi was just like, all right, she's getting pissed, she's gonna keep doing it, do it again. Dude, that's so fucked up. That's so hilarious though, man. Fucking like this guy, and this is why Raimi is just an absolute genius, because he will do anything to get his movies made. And the exact vision that he has in his head, like the extents this man will go to get his movies exactly the way he envisioned in his head, is unbelievable. It's unreal. Like I can't say enough about Raimi. Like just like I said, a genius. And then we have the cellar shots of the blood coming out of like all the different things, like out of electrical sockets and dripping down and dripping into the light bulb and filling the light bulb up with blood. And so that is so cool. Those are such great shots. And then we get the Charleston jazz tune playing on the record player. Amazing. That is so great. And the fact that it ends the film and stuff with that, like I'll get into that at the end. I'm almost done here. This is running 43 minutes, damn. But it's the fucking Evil Dead, man. What the hell can you do about it? It's not gonna be no 10-minute talk, I'll tell you that. Again. And then even the stop motion animation and stuff, and at the end when fucking Scotty and Linda are actually like dying for fucking, finally they're fucking dying and shit, and the stop motion they use. I like stop motion. Like I mean, and like I can even think of like some movies in that time period, like Basket Case with fucking Belial and stuff. How they use stop motion with him moving around and stuff. Like you can make it work in a horror movie, and I think it works great in this. Again, it's like we don't know how the hell these demonic entities, these deadites, would melt apart and fall apart. Maybe it does look like a fucking cartoon. Who knows, man? But it just works. It just, everything about this movie works. And then the arms ripping and coming out of their bodies and stuff as they're melting and stuff, as the book's melting in the fire and everything. So good. Then the ending shot POV of just going through the back of the cabin and coming through the whole cabin, out the front door, then right up to Ash, assuming, before there was any idea for a sequel and stuff, like assuming that he got killed and stuff, he was dead. And then we just have the fucking the Charleston jazz tune that ends the movie, which I can't think of many other movies to have a better credit song than this movie. Like, you hear that song, man, that old jazz tune, and immediately Evil Dead comes right to mind. Like, absolutely. And it's so infamous at this point. Like, anyone who's seen this movie and they hear that jazz tune for some reason, it's immediate Evil Dead comes to mind. Like, another movie that I can think of that had just an amazing end credits song, and it's not even like a full-on horror movie, it's just Excision from I think it was 2012, I want to say, which I will be reviewing down the line for sure. I love that movie with Tracy Lords and Annalyn McCord, when she's all like that fucked up young girl with all these demented thoughts and stuff like that, and wants to be a surgeon and everything. I'm not gonna like spoil it or anything for people who haven't seen it, but just the end credits song for that, I think, is perfect. Like, the perfect fit to end that movie. And there's not many movies I can think of that just have the perfect ending song to end the movie. That just, like, as soon as the credits roll and that song comes on, you're like, it just fits completely with the whole rest of the movie. And for some reason, man, the fucking Charleston jazz tune at the end of Evil Dead just works amazingly. But alright, this is going on a little long, but what can I say? It's the fucking Evil Dead, dude, by Sam Raimi with Bruce Campbell. Like, and we'll talk about Sam Raimi's career a bit and stuff like that. So, but I will be looking. I'm probably just gonna fucking rent or buy them online on Amazon for Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, because they were on HBO Max like a month ago and now they're gone. So I'll probably just end up renting or buying them, because I don't have a lot of physical media anymore. Like, I really don't. Like, I kind of just... And I've never paid for music, like, ever. Like, besides, like, when I was real young and collected, like, CDs and stuff like that. Like, once Napster and Kazaa and all those things, anyone in their, like, late 20s or 30s, like me and stuff, will remember, like, once those came out, I never spent a dime on music ever again. It went from those stupid apps to torrent sites, and I have terabytes of music. Never paid a dime for any of them. And it turned out the same way with movies, except not like illegally getting them. It's just streaming. Once streaming started with Netflix and everything, that's how I watch the majority of my movies. Like, most of the DVDs I have behind me and stuff are like the few horror DVDs I have anymore. I still have some, and I still have some old VHSs and stuff. I was looking for Blood Rage the other day when I reviewed that last week, and I couldn't fucking find it. I'm going to try to find that, because I want to just see that VHS cover again. But, alright guys, I'm going to watch Evil Dead 2, and I'll be back in a little bit to be discussing that amazing movie as well. So take care, and I'll see you in a bit.